Thank you for the welcome, and I'm really very happy to be here on this historic occasion, on the launch of this unique initiative of the Isha Vishwapragyan Trust being organized here on a truly global scale in Thiruvananthapuram. It was fascinating listening to our previous speaker and hearing some of the illustrations of the interesting new ideas that you are here to discuss. This first meet of the Global Energy Parliament is indeed a path-breaking event. It's also in many ways both idealistic and courageous. It's idealistic, it brings into focus an idea which has perhaps been lingering for some time now at the very frontiers of advanced human thought, that of the unity underlying the apparent diversity of human existence itself. And I do want to congratulate Swamiji and the Isha Vishwapragyan Trust for taking up the challenge. It is a challenge because, in fact, when you first hear about a global energy parliament, I think I was approached by some of the young people in this room a year ago to come and participate in this. I said, I know nothing about energy, you should go and see our petroleum minister. Because I assumed that the gathering was going to be devoted to figuring out how we can get more supplies of oil and natural gas across the world to generate energy. And it was only after reading the materials that they had brought that I realized that we're talking about a very different concept of energy, and a very intriguing one. And as I said, it is courageous to come up with such a notion that can actually inspire people into looking at the entire order of the universe in a different way. It's gratifying to note that this meet focuses on a very practical objective, that of bringing into existence a permanent international, as you call it, parliamentary body. We'll talk about that in a minute, but anyway, a parliamentary body of scientists, professionals and social activists, which would serve to act as a platform for studying and advising on these issues, the holistic nature of energy, the implications of its current use, and the essential steps to be taken in the future for the benefit of all mankind. I noticed this very impressive statement issued by the organizers about the new vision they have of energy. And I love the sentence that energy has no quality as itself, but its infinite variation is what makes our universe what it is, from a snowflake to a sigh. I've just come from a literary festival, and this could easily have had a place in that event as well. It's a lovely thought. But this whole notion of the indivisibility of energy and human experience is extremely valuable. And coming up with a unified definition of energy, using both the exciting discoveries of modern science at its frontiers, and coming up with a plan of action for a better utilization of energy, is something which I think is an extraordinary task you set yourselves, and I want to wish you all the best in your deliberations as you try and get there. There is this lovely quote from the physicist Werner Heisenberg, who came up with the famous uncertainty principle, who said that the common division of the world into subject and object, inner world and outer world, body and soul, is no longer adequate. And I think that is a tremendous insight coming from the world of modern science, from a famous physicist, indeed a man who is partly credited with some of the discoveries that led to the atom bomb, which, as you know, is seen by many as sowing the seeds of the destruction of our universe. And yet, to understand creation, we must also understand the potential for destruction. And I think that the notion that in our great civilization, the idea that the oneness of the universe and of all beings contained therein has always been a crucial part of the Indian approach to the world and the Indian approach to these issues. In fact, I was very struck to hear about the experiments of Jagdish Chandra Bose because, I'm a vegetarian. I've been since I was a very small child. And one of the things I objected to was indeed the pain caused to animals when they are executed for human beings to eat them. Whereupon, unfortunately, my more sophisticated critics turn around and say, but don't you know the experiments of Jagdish Chandra Bose, even plants can feel pain. And indeed, the reaction of plants to the vibrations of music that was described to us is even more acute when it comes to their being cut with a knife or whatever. So ultimately, I had to content myself with the answer that there are degrees of pain and suffering, and the pain of the plant or the fruit somehow was more bearable to my hypocritical consciousness than that of the wounded animal. But anyway, the notion in our civilization, the Rig Vedic idea that let noble thoughts come to us from every side, is so steeped in our culture, but it's also very much a clarion call to all of humanity. And in many ways it embodies the true spirit of India. I was struck by your reference to this grouping, this gathering as a global energy parliament. Because as you know, I've just come from another parliament, and not everything that takes place in that parliament contributes necessarily to the values of energy that you would like to see, I'm sure, advancing the progress of our country and of humanity. But the ideals of which our parliament was established were indeed very, very fine and high ideals. And there is a wonderful Sanskrit verse which is inscribed above the gate of the central hall of our parliament in New Delhi. And since I've just come from there, I'll inflict 2 lines of Sanskrit on you in my bad pronunciation. But Swamiji, I'm sure, will correct me if I'm wrong. Ayam nijaha parevati ganana lahu chetasam udar charitananaha tu vasudeva kutambakam. Which, at least in a rough translation in English, means that one is mine and the other a stranger is the concept of little minds. But to the large-hearted, the world itself is their family. Now that has been very much as part of the spirit of India's integration with the world and India's approach to foreign policy and to international relations. In fact, I think President Obama was referring to this verse, though he didn't quote it directly, when he said in English that he admired the Indian notion of the world being a family. And the truth is that it is also a reflection of the broader ideas of the indivisibility and oneness of all human creation. By organizing this Noble Energy Parliament, the Isha Vishwa Pragyan Trust has aptly captured the essence of these ancient Indian ideas. I think you're all on the right track. The key is in understanding the oneness of all things and, of course, their underlying interconnection. I really enjoyed going through the materials you've given me, and I want to reiterate a point that you've made in these materials, which is that science has come to the inescapable conclusion that the existence of matter is always a probability, and that the phenomena behind this probability is indeed the certainty of energy as the undivisible structure, or the undividable structure, which is inherent in all matter and joins all matter. And the notion that the universe is energy manifested in different forms, and that energy is vibration, these are ideas with which I don't have enough expertise to grapple, but I'm delighted that so many knowledgeable people are gathered in this room to come to a detailed understanding of what all this means. I note that the various sessions of the Parliament will contain discussions and debates touching upon all the relevant fields, including education, environment, agriculture, and I believe agroecology, medicine and health, and that with the presence of so many eminent personalities, I have no doubt that the discussions will be extremely fruitful and rewarding. So let me congratulate you all. Having said that I know too little about the subject to speak, I should not speak and exhaust the boundaries of my own ignorance, but I will nonetheless apologize in advance for not being able to stay on. As you know, the duties of a member of Parliament when he visits his constituency are rather onerous, and you are only the second of 15 engagements I have today, so I must leave you. But I do want to thank you very, very much for having invited me. As your member of Parliament, let me offer my congratulations and best wishes for a very effective, focused and fruitful deliberation. And again, all success. I look forward to hearing from you as to the conclusions of your gathering. Namaskaram and Jai Hind.